Okay, well you each have one, so at least. I know you have two over there. Barbara, let's start with yours. You seem a little like you're not unsure what to put.
I don't know. I put my English.
Perfect. I love it. So that's an example I would have brought up even if she had it.
That's
Accent. Okay? So this is something that many realtors,
Common. Yeah.
especially in South Florida, right, has a limiting belief, and it goes basically right back to my example of the dancing. So here's the thing. You don't think you necessarily are easily understood, and so you're not going to make phone calls, right? You're going to say, well, they won't understand me anyway, so I'm not going to pick up the phone, right? I'll make my money some other way, and there are successful agents out there who operate successfully that way, but maybe they're missing out, right? So your English. How can we turn that into an unlimited belief then?
Can you tell me?
Well, there are two ways.
I believe it or I don't believe it.
There are two ways to turn that my accent is going to stop me from being successful into an unlimited belief. And it's either I'm going to go to a speech class and get better at speaking, right? And there's hundreds of classes, and if you want one, I can help you set you up with one. You can go to get better at that. And then here's the thing, you might not be any better than you were before, but your confidence is going to be that, oh, I sound better now, and so I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to make those calls. Because it was just the idea that you did have an accent that stopped you in the first place. Here's the other thing, just go out and make the calls, right? Because here's the thing, I talk to people, and we had the same example before, who said that they believe that when they talk to people because of their accent, people actually listen harder. Right? That I'm going to pay more attention to you than I would Suzanne because I have to cling to your words, otherwise I'm not going to get them.
That bad?
Yeah, it's not that bad, but that's good.
I'm kidding.
No, but that's actually a very good point.
Yeah.
So
It
Very
is
good
true.
point.
It
And
is
another
true.
thing too is that you could say, well, that makes me worldly. We're in an area in South Florida that we sell to people all over the world. Isn't that what you want? Someone that's been traveled the world. That's what I want.
and that's another way of thinking about it. But it's, at the end of the day, the same thing.
Same thing,
It
exactly.
all
You just
comes
build your
down to
confidence.
confidence.
Exactly.
You either have confidence that I'm going to do it and they're going to listen to me, or for whatever reason you have in your head that they're going to do that makes you make the phone call, it gave you the confidence. Just like if you took the class, it would give you the confidence. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to take I can't and turn it into I can and I will. That's how you take a limited belief and turn it into an unlimited belief. Why don't you give me one of your examples?
If I had more money to invest in my business, I'd be able to make more money faster and easier.
Beautiful. Now, without me telling you, why is that a limiting belief and how do you make it unlimited?
Well, it can be limiting in that when I am in between closings or at a time when I have less money to invest and generate sales with, I can tend to be less active and just basically try less. Where there are things that you can always do if without money, and sometimes you just have to focus on those activities. But then it's also important that once money starts rolling in, you start to plan your life, your financial life around your business, so that you will be able to continuously invest in your business and have a more predictable business.
So there's the key, in my opinion, because I don't think we're talking about that you have $0 in the bank, right? Yes, if you have $0 in the bank, that's going to be rough, and it's hard to start a business, any business, with $0 in the bank. By the way, that's what you're doing, you're starting a business. So you do have to have some money to do that. There is no business you can start without that. But if you have some money, you're saying you didn't have a closing in a couple of weeks, and so the money is going down, not going up, and so you kind of, okay, so here's the thing. That's why we have the plan, right? Just like you said. Because what's it about? Is it about the money you spend, or is it about the return on the investment you make?
It's about the return on the investment you make.
Right? So it shouldn't matter how much you spend on the front end as long as you expect to make that money back on the back end, right?
And then some.
Sure.
Of course.
And that's all part of your plan.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's a limiting belief because it's going to stop you from spending some money on the front end. when that money on the front end is what's going to make you the money on the back end. And so it's stopping you from being successful. And see, that's one of the reasons why, I mean, and you were at the meeting yesterday, and you were at the meeting, Marco, you didn't come to the meeting, but one of the things I'm doing with the agents is, if you guys want to do a dialer, Mojo or Vulcan or whatever, and it's part of your business plan that you're going to be doing expireds or for sale by owners or cold calling, and you're hesitant to do that because you don't want to spend that investment, I'll front that investment. There's some caveats to that, so we can talk about that after, Marco, if you're interested. But I just want you to do it, because that investment, if you do it, you know, buying the system, if you don't actually do the work, is meaningless. That's just a waste of money. But if you're going to do the work, if you're going to be tracking everything, if you're going to be learning and getting better, then there's a return on investment that's way better than the investment itself. And so I'm happy to front that until you realize this is just something that should be part of my daily plan. If I can get people started that way. Because that's what I believe. I believe it's about the investment, or return on investment, not the investment itself. Okay? You should never say that costs too much. You should say, I'm not going to profit enough from it. Okay? But so that was a really good one. Suzanne, do you have any? Do you think you have any?
Of course I do. My biggest thing is I have a problem with, I think I do everything better than everyone else, so I have a problem delegating, and that creates a huge thing. It's like, if my husband has to take, because I'm so short with time already, like if he has to handle something I never think is good at, like, he never does enough.
Ooh, I'm telling you.
Oh, yes. And I always think we're not giving a good enough service.
He'd sit here and say the same thing.
And it kills me because I don't think we're doing enough for the people, to keep people happy, you know, I'm always like, that's my biggest problem.
Believe it or not, Suzanne just gave us one of the top traits of any successful real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
You do it better than anybody else could possibly do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a limiting belief.
Yeah.
Because you can get to the top levels that way.
Yeah.
And probably will, except you won't get past that.
Yeah.
I forget who used to say it, but I've heard it a couple times before that perfect is the enemy of good in real of good in real estate. If you try too hard to be perfect, you limit yourself, and sometimes you just don't get anything done.
Okay. Well, for me here, the concept is that when we believe we're so good at something and that nobody else can, and we're probably right about that, by the way. That's not even up for debate, that you probably are better than the next person. But the thing you're missing out on is putting, and I'm pointing, but you gotta go back a few pages, putting those systems in place.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Literally a checklist of everything you do to be as good as you are, that you could just say, okay, Barbara, now you do this, everything on this list. By the way, some people aren't going to follow the list even if they have it in front of them. But some people, if they are talented, not as much as you, or they haven't been through as much as you, but they're talented, they're going to be able to follow that checklist and start helping you build your business up doubly, because they're doing things the way you do them. See, that's the difference. See, now, you're going to get the top CEOs at the top companies, and they're just like Suzanne. But the difference between them and he's dead now, but Steve Jobs, and Richard Branson's, and even, yes, it's not a good example today, but the Donald Trumps, their number one best character trait isn't that they can do something that others can't. It's that they can delegate.
Yeah.
That they're really good at delegating. Those people work less. You ever heard work smarter, not harder? That's where that saying comes from. Okay? They do the things, and only the things, that will make them the most money. And everything else anybody can do for them. Somebody can do for them. Okay? In fact, Steve Jobs was once asked, what's the thing you are most proud of doing with Apple? The thing you're most proud of, right? Obviously, it's the iPad. That's the thing that turned the company from nothing into something. No. What he said was, the thing I'm most proud of is all the stuff we did not make.
Oh, that's good.
All the ideas that we didn't go with. That's what I'm proud of. Warren Buffett, by the way, it's not a coincidence. They didn't get together and decide that they were going to give the same answer. Warren Buffett was asked the same thing. His answer was, his key to success is, for every 100 ideas that cross my desk, I say no to 99 of them. That's how he's successful. Because you're only doing the things that are going to make... They teach you have an ambassador of no. Jim's your ambassador of no.
Yeah.
Okay, you need somebody. If you're not going to be the one to say no, If you're not going to be the one to say no, you need somebody to do it for you, right? Marco, you're a really nice guy. You're not going to be like, buzz off. So you get somebody to say buzz off.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
All I'm saying is, does that make sense?
Tell
There
everybody
you
to
go.
buzz off.
Does that make sense?
That's why
She's
Jim's the one that answers the phone.
People say that you never get in my office. I'm like, yeah,
When
'cause I'm
somebody
janitor.
calls Laura and says, I want you to do this rental for me, Laura feels like, oh, I gotta help this
Oh, yeah.
person.
Oh, yeah.
And that's an amazing, nice character trait, but it's not gonna make more money for her. She by doing that one thing, there's a sale maybe she couldn't make.
Yeah.
Right? Goes right into when you work with buyers. Right? I want you to show me 25 houses. You show that guy 25 houses, he doesn't buy one, you missed out on 3 people you could have sold 3 houses to. It's all the same, it all goes under the same concept. Okay, so that was a perfect one, Suzanne. So now we have an understanding of what limiting beliefs are. So we're going to talk a little bit more about beliefs, but the next page is all about, and the saying at the top, we choose our next world through what we learn in this one. Learn nothing and the next world is the same as this one. Has anybody heard that saying before? No? Why when we go to elementary school do they start teaching us history? Why is the only reason for the subject history at all? These people's hobbies to just know things about the past? That's not why.
No.
There's a specific reason why
So
history
we
is so
don't
important.
repeat it.
What, yeah, I was trying to remember the exact saying.
And-
Those that fail to learn from history are fated,
Doomed to repeat it.
doomed to repeat it.
100%. We learn history, so we learn not to repeat our mistakes. Do we still repeat our mistakes?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
It's called cycles.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And so that's the point here. It's very, very, very difficult. But that's why you need to learn. Learn from others who have made mistakes. Learn from yourself. In fact, guess what happened in 2008 when the market was so good, right? Is everybody and their mother literally became real estate agents. And they didn't have to learn a damn thing and they made hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay? Now when the market went bad, I don't know if you know this, Coldwell Banker on Las Olas, the one that's here in Fort Lauderdale, had about 250 agents. They got down to 68 agents in about a year and a half.
Wow.
Because most of those people never learned how to do anything. And then when it got hard, they failed. Right? Because you have to learn from mistakes. Now the 68 people who stayed are some of the best agents we have. Because they worked their ass off to learn and to get better, and they stuck through it, and now they're the best in the area. That's the whole point. You need to learn from your mistakes. And so, we're going to see here that there's only 3 ways to get better. There's only 3 ways to grow. Okay? You can grow to your next level. Growing to your next level requires you to do something beyond what you're currently doing or adding. Adding or completely starting from fresh. Okay? You're either adding to what you're currently doing or starting a new plan. And that's what our business plan is going to give you. It's going to give you a plan of attack for the next 12 months. Okay? So we're adding. Okay? Doing what you're currently doing at more effective and efficient levels is improving. So you take that business plan over the next 12 months, how do you make more money out of the same plan the next year? By getting better at the activities inside, right? If you're just making 100 phone calls and you get 3 listings out of it this year, the same 100 phone calls next year should get you 10. Improving. Or leveraging yourself and your business, which is developing others. So you see, because at some point when you do this business plan year after year after year after year, you can only improve to so much, because then we now have a time constraint, 24 hours in the day, and you can't do any more business. Even if you're doing everything the right way and prioritizing perfectly, you can't do any more all by yourself. So the only way to grow past that is to leverage yourself out and develop others so that they can take time. So that 2 people in 24 hours can accomplish more than 1, right? And so on and so forth. Those are the only 3 ways to grow. Since growth requires change, the key is becoming and remaining learning-based. Okay? Learning-based. Has anybody ever heard that? Learning-based? There are 2 types of people on this planet. Learning-based individuals and ignorance-based individuals. Learning-based people say, I know what I know and there's more to know. Okay? You know who's learning-based? Steve Jobs was learning-based. Richard Branson is learning-based. I know what I know and there's more to know. I'm always going to learn. If you're not learning-based, you're ignorance-based. There's only one or the other. Okay? And we all know good people who are ignorance-based. our friends, our family, they're ignorance-based. You all know these people. I recruit agents who are ignorance-based on a daily basis, okay? I know what I know and I'll ignore everything else, or I know it all. So do we all know it-alls? Nah, of course.
For this
I
business.
wish.
Every time I pick up the phone and I say, hey, we want to, and they go, listen, I've been doing this for 20 years. I
Okay.
smile.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything about the way you do in your business. I said you can make more money. So if you're going to come back at me with, I've been doing this for 20 years, okay. I once had a guy tell me I've been doing the same things for 20 years and it's not working, I need a change. And then his wife came in and decided this was highfalutin and he didn't, it wasn't for him. And when I called him the next day, you know what he said to me? Literally the next day. He goes, in 20 years in this business, I never had to pay a monthly dues to work at a place. What did he say the day before? I've been doing the same thing for 20 years and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Ignorance-based. And that's okay, good people.
Yeah.
Now, but I know you guys are learning-based, that's the good news. How do I know you're learning-based?
Because we're here.
Because you're here. Did you cheat? Did
No.
You cheat? You didn't cheat? The fact that you're here today means that you're learning.
No, but I mean, that's obvious.
Okay, perfect. Now, the question on the bottom. Barbara, I want you to answer this question for me. Can someone be learning-based but not committed to self-mastery?
I think so.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Circle yes, absolutely. Now, we all know people who are learning-based but are not committed to self-mastery. Good people also, okay? Anybody have a friend or a family member who's got like 4 or 5 advanced degrees and never got a job?
Mm-hmm. Many people I know.
Right? Learning-based but not committed to mastery. Learning is fun. Applying is difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, you're never going to do anything with that. Look at the next page. So on the left, we have somebody who is not committed to mastery. Right? You learn to know something. Right? You seek knowledge, and more knowledge, and more knowledge, and more knowledge. Marco, what does it say you can be at the bottom? You can be Jeopardy champion. By the way, I would kick all your butts in Jeopardy. I'm ridiculously good at it. So maybe I fall into that
I
category.
know you kick mine because I don't know any of that crap.
I've been playing every day basically since I was a little kid. But and I also have a weird connection. Like something I heard my teacher say in like 4th grade will just come out by the way they do their clues. And I'll
That's
say it and I'll be like, how did I know that?
That's amazing because I'm like the opposite. I know the answer and it just won't come to the top of my brain.
Every question in Jeopardy has a clue. It
Yeah.
has a clue to get it even if you don't know it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for some reason I picked that up. But in either case,
Jim's a lot better than it.
Jeopardy champion, trivia contest, Trivial Pursuit. This is the ultimate when you are somebody who just is seeking knowledge for the sake of seeking knowledge. Now on the right side, we're learning to grow, right? You can either learn to know or learn to grow. And over here we have what you're trying to do is to learn to get better, to continue to grow. And so when you do that, you can clarify your choices. Your choices are going to allow you to take action, effective and efficient action. Okay? And when you take action, you're beginning to build habits, right? Good habits. And that's going to shape your character. That's going to shape the character of your business, right? These are a little more flowery, you're going to determine your destiny and control your legacy, but it's true. When you set it up like that, you will have a vision. You are seeing the overall playing field, and you have a clear goal and an expectation that if these steps are carried out, you will reach your goal. That's the difference between learning to grow and learning to know. Okay? So you guys obviously want to learn to grow, right? All right, perfect. And on the bottom, learning new and irrelevant things may be entertaining, but it doesn't increase the bottom line. What it does is your willingness to study, practice, and implement the vital activities of a thriving agent. Study, practice, and implement. Okay? A willingness to focus on only the basics. It's not about gaining an understanding of the basics, right? I don't want you to know just enough about contracts to fill one out. I want you to know everything about it so you can master it, right? Likewise, if your business is predicated on expired phone calls and holding open houses, I want you to know everything you need to know to be dominating in those 2 categories. I don't want you to start taking a class on for sale by owners. How's that going to help you? Right? And that's just one example. But the point is, if you're going to pick a path, you want to learn everything you have to know about that path, right? If a baseball pitcher wanted to all of a sudden take batting lessons, they wouldn't let him do it because it's not going to help him master what he's trying to master, right? Barbara, did that go over your head? Sports references, are you okay with them?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So on the next page, what we have here is we have a chart that shows us just the understanding the pathway to mastery. So, in the beginning, you're going to hear material like today's class for the first time. Who knows what AHA means? When you hear material. You have an aha moment. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I had to figure out what that meant before I could teach it to people, but it makes sense now. You have an aha moment. Okay, which means you've learned something, okay? Then you're going to S-P-A, and the R is here in reinforce, so SPAR. Who's heard SPAR before? Have you heard that, Marco?
No.
I don't like you calling you Mel.
Mellow.
Probably going to stick with that at some point. SPAR is study, practice, take action, and repeat or reinforce, okay? That's what that means, and that comes from a book, and the book is on the bottom, and the book is called... the book is in here. The book is called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, so if you want to write that down. The other book title is there. There's 2 book titles on this page. So the concept of 10,000 SPAR hours comes from Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, and what he says is you need 10,000 hours of study, practice, taking action, and repeating in order to be master of anything. Now that sounds like a lot. So let's simplify and just say you need to do a lot of anything to be a master at it, right? You need ridiculous amount of repetition, right? Now, what's something that Suzanne, what's something you've done in your life, it doesn't have to be real estate related, that you practiced that so much that you became very good at it?
Probably listing appointments.
Listing appointments, perfect. Marco?
She stole my answer, but
Doesn't have to be real estate related. Are you good at riding a bike, Marco? You ever ridden a bike before?
I have.
Riding a bike is probably the first example of this in all of our lives. It's something you do enough times that now you don't even have to think about it, do you? You can just ride a bike, right? Muscle memory, right? When a golfer takes a swing, he practices it so many times that he turns his brain completely off and his arms just go in that motion. Muscle memory. Practicing something over, and you can lose that if you don't keep practicing, don't worry, but that's what that means, doing something over and over again. So you're going to study, practice, take action, reinforce it by bringing that experience you had back to the class. Having a new aha moment, because you will learn something from the same material that didn't stand out the last time because you didn't go have that experience, right? Let's use an open house for an example. If you go through that class and you go hold your first open house, something's going to happen at that open house that makes you, when you come back to the class and you go over all that material that you learned again, you're going to be like, oh, okay, so next time I need to do this. And then you get a little bit better. And you get a little bit better. And you do that over and over and over and over again. And what does it say? Doing and being. What does that mean, Suzanne? Doing and being. What's the difference?
Between doing and being.
Yeah, you see what's happening here. We're doing the material over and over again.
You just can't help but what you become. I mean, you just kind of go into action.
It just becomes part of who you are.
Exactly.
Right, it becomes natural. When you do something like riding a bike over and over and over again, it goes from something that you're thinking about, okay, right foot, left foot, to something you just do.
It's the difference with scripts. If somebody calls you and they're doing a script and they're like, are you kidding me? And then people are so natural at it, they practice and practice and practice. And just
Scripts is a perfect example, right? So that's the concept here. Now, on the bottom, this concept is such a strong concept that there's a book called Talent is Overrated. And I'm trying to, Jeff Colvin. Jeff Colvin is the...
God, you are good at remembering. You're amazing.
Is the author of Talent is Overrated.
What's his last name?
Colvin, C-O-L-V-I-N. He uses 2 subjects. They are sports examples, but they're also the 2 most internationally known words in the English language, which means you can go into any country in this world and say these 2 names and everybody is going to know who you're talking about, so I hope you guys know who I'm talking about. He uses these 2 examples, Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
To prove, he's using those 2 people to prove that talent is overrated. Okay? So let's consider them for a second. Okay, Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan are, and if I swear to God, if you like the Miami Heat and LeBron James, I don't even want to hear about it. Okay? We are going to say they are the 2 greatest players to ever have played in their sport. They're at least in the conversation. Okay, fair enough?
Yeah.
All right. So we would have to assume their talent level is better than everybody else's, but it's not true.
Their practice level.
Get ahead of me. Because let's look at each case individually right now. Let's take Tiger Woods, okay? What you know about Tiger Woods is all the good he's done, you also know he, kind of went off the rails there, because there's also a common trait to the best of anything, they're batshit crazy. Anybody who's the best in anything, by the way, I challenge you right now, take 2 seconds and think of anyone who is the top in anything that is not crazy. And we don't want to be crazy. I'm not insinuating any of you should be crazy. But if you are the best, I mean, we can be in that top echelon without being crazy. But if you're the best, you're crazy because of the dedication level that it takes to be there. So Tiger Woods, from the age of, who knows? Do you know how long?
2, I think.
2 years old. By the age of 3, he was on the Johnny Carson show. From the age of 2 years old, he was playing 18 holes a day with his father.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like, Daddy, take me to the course. I mean, that was kind of forced on him. But there are other professional golfers who didn't start playing until they were 16 years old. I didn't play until I was 13 years old. So to have a 9-year head start is pretty impressive. Not just a 9-year head start, that's all you do. That's all you do. School, because that was important, and golf. Since 2 years old. Anybody who does that is going to be the best at their sport. And that's what happened to him. Okay? When he stopped that is when he fell off a little bit. And again, he's crazy. So that's why he can't have normal relationships. Right? Because you can't be in your right frame of mind if all you do is focus on one thing. But that's why. It took dedication. Now let's look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, probably the best ever, but certainly up there, okay? I want you to know something about basketball. There are 10-year-olds right now in this country, pretty much any 10-year-old in this country who has any talent whatsoever, is being recruited to play basketball at the highest level. 10 years old. That's when that starts. Michael Jordan was 16 years old, 6 years after that. And he was cut by his high school basketball team. And not just not an all-star high school basketball team, his Podunk High School in North Carolina said, you're not good enough to be on this team. At 16, when 10-year-olds are being recruited to play at the highest level. How does that person become the greatest basketball player of all time?
Mindset.
So from that moment on, Michael Jordan said, I'm not going to lose, okay? And he practiced and worked. And he's the hardest working player, and you can ask, if you ever see him, Charles Barkley and Isaiah Thomas and all these guys, Larry Bird, who practiced harder than anybody? It was him. He practiced harder. He is an obsessive, compulsive winner. Because guess what? He'll kick your ass in ping pong, and he'll kick your ass in gambling, and he'll kick your ass in baseball and in anything else he does, or he won't do it. Right? Because that's the amount of dedication he has to being the best. It's crazy. It's also why he's a gambler and a womanizer and all these things, because he's crazy. He's got to be the best. Okay? So much so that on the day he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, a lot of people don't know this, but you can go YouTube it. When they get inducted into the Hall of Fame, they give a speech. Right? They give like a 5-minute speech. And they're supposed to thank all the people that helped them and talk about important moments in their life and blah, blah, blah. So, in the front row with his kids and his wife, who was right there in the front row did he invite to that Hall of Fame induction speech? Guess.
The coach that cut him?
The coach that cut him was invited to sit in the front row. Not only was he there,
That's crazy.
not only was he there to see him get inducted to the Hall of Fame, the end of his speech, not the beginning, not the middle, the end, the mic drop moment. What do you think about me now?
Oh my god. Really? Oh, that's crazy.
That is so Michael Jordan, it's not even
Why
funny.
else would he invite him, like, back
It's
down?
like some people just get.
Get over it, dude, right?
I
But
know.
here's the thing. He's also thanking him in a way. Because
Yes.
if it wasn't for that push,
He wouldn't be.
Yeah.
he might not be where he is.
Well, he should have said it like that. That would have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
That
didn't
would be
get what
nice,
he
though.
got by being nice either.
I know.
So.
Exactly.
Oh no,
Mine
he
is
was on the
nice.
dream team.
I would
You guys
like
know the
nice.
dream team, the 19 when with all the
Yeah,
best
I
players in
remember, yeah.
So the whole concept that LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Bosh, they all want
Yeah.
to play together.
Yeah,
This
that came-
Michael Jordan would be like, what is wrong? He would rather vomit than have that happen because he doesn't want to play with the best. He wants to beat the best. And so on the dream team, when they were all on the same team, everyone hated him.
Yeah.
He was the young guy, but because he got into fights with people every day because he hated being on the team with them. He had to be the best. Okay? craziness, but it's dedication to that level that made him overcome talent is overrated. 16 years old, he wasn't good enough to be with a bunch of high school kids.
And the coach at the time also
That's
said that
great.
the most important thing that happened to them in the preparation to the Olympics was losing a game.
Yes. Well, because we learn more from our failures than our successes, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you have a conversation, if you're doing expired phone calls, right, and everybody's just giving you the listing,
Yeah.
maybe they just really like your voice, I don't know. But you go and you start doing it 2 weeks later, you may not even be good at it, right? Because you're just kind of winging it. But if you had a script, right, and you completely fudged up, and then you went back, oh, I forgot to say this, you're probably never going to forget to say that again. Because you learn from your failures.
I forget the next day, but Laura will remember every single time she loses.
See, I will remember every single
I
time.
just let it go. The next day, I'm like, I feel like, who is that?
No, it's my brain, I won't stop thinking about it all day long.
No, not me.
Okay, so, and I know they give you the answer at the top of the page. They just totally took away all the anticipation here. But why do people succeed then? Why did Michael Jordan succeed?
Because he refused to fail, really.
Because he intended to, right? That's why people succeed. It's a simple answer. It's not going to help you succeed, but you need to understand it's an intention. It's being intentional, right? I'm not going to fail. Here's what I'm going to do to make sure that that happens, and then you follow that plan. And you don't need to make that stuff up, because there's books and tips and videos and all these different people like the Tom Ferrys or the Tony Robbins out there who are giving you that plan. We're giving you that plan, but you got to be able to follow it because you got to be intentional. You've got to take that. Okay. So here's the internal and external kind of graph for success. Success is two-dimensional. Okay. There is an internal component to success, and then there is an external component to success. So do you have it on your page? Oh yeah, you have the red for what they stand for, right? Intentional, unintentional, proactive, and inactive, right? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So up on the left-hand side, you have intentional and inactive, which means you want something, but you're really not doing anything to move towards it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have something in our life we probably want, but we're not doing anything to move towards, right? Suzanne, is there anything? You have a vision board, but is there anything you'd like to have, but you're not going to do anything to get it just yet anyway?
Yeah.
Right? You, what kind of car do you drive?
Me?
Yeah.
Jeep, BMW, and we have a little Fiat convertible.
I wasn't asking you to tell me the fleet, but okay. But maybe you want a Maserati, right? But you're not doing anything to get yourself a Maserati.
I'm loving the dynamic here.
Probably not the greatest.
I've never seen her blush before.
But you understand my point, right? Maybe you want a boat, but you're not doing anything to get that boat. Not right now, anyway, and that's okay. Talk is cheap. I want something, but look, I'm not really willing enough to work hard enough to get that just now. Can we use a private island then? You don't want a private...
There you go.
Alright. Then you have this one, which I don't even like to talk about. This is the category of failure. This is when you're unintentional, you have no plan whatsoever, and you're really not doing anything. Right? Couch potatoes. Okay? I don't want anything, and I'm not moving towards anything.
That's bad.
We don't want that. Then we have over here the category of frustration. A lot of real